There is a difference between saying sorry because you did something wrong and saying sorry because you believe you are something wrong. Most chronic apologizers have never been told that difference, and it changes everything. Most people think chronic apologizing is a personality trait, something some people are just born with, a quirk, a kindness even. But psychology tells a much more uncomfortable story, one that starts not with personality, but with pain. So let's break it down. When a person grows up in an environment where their emotions were consistently dismissed, minimized, or punished, something very specific happens inside the brain. The child learns that their inner world is a problem, that their needs are inconvenient, that their feelings are too much for the people around them. And over time, the brain does what brains do best. It adapts. It builds a system designed to keep that child safe. And the system it builds is this: make yourself as small as possible and apologize for anything that might cause discomfort in the people around you. Psychologists call this emotional invalidation, and research shows it is one of the most underestimated forms of childhood harm. It does not leave visible marks. It does not look like abuse from the outside. But inside, the child it creates a deeply distorted relationship with their own sense of worth. They begin to experience their own presence as something that requires justification, something that needs to be earned, something that should come with an apology attached. Now here's what makes this particularly fascinating. The chronic apologizer is not actually apologizing for what they did. They are apologizing for what they are. Every sorry they offer is really a disguised way of saying, I know I take up too much space. I know I am a burden. I know you would probably be better off without having to deal with me. It is not guilt. It is shame. And those two things are very different. Guilt says, I did something bad. Shame says, I am something bad. Research by Dr. Brené Brown and others in the field of shame resilience shows that chronic shame, the kind that becomes woven into a person's identity, creates predictable behavioral patterns. Chronic apologizing is one of them. People-pleasing is another. Difficulty receiving compliments, inability to set boundaries, shrinking in the presence of confident people. All of these behaviors trace back to the same root, a core belief that their existence requires constant justification. Here is where attachment theory connects. Children who grew up with emotionally unavailable or inconsistent caregivers often develop what researchers call a negative self model, an internal working model that says, I am unworthy of love unless I make myself easy to deal with. The apology becomes the currency they use to pay for their place in every relationship, every friendship, every room they walk into. And the painful irony is that the more they apologize, the more they reinforce the very belief driving the behavior. Because every unnecessary sorry sends a signal to the nervous system. You were right. You are too much. You do need to apologize for existing. It becomes a self-fulfilling loop that can last decades if no one ever names it. But psychology also shows us the way out. It starts with a distinction, the difference between guilt and shame, between accountability and self-erasure. Genuine apologies have their place. They are acts of integrity. But apologizing for your needs, your presence, your feelings, that is not accountability. That is self-abandonment disguised as politeness. The work is not about never saying sorry. It is about learning, slowly, imperfectly, over time, that you are allowed to exist without earning it. That taking up space is not a crime. That your presence does not require an apology. And that the people who made you feel otherwise were wrong.